Shalom, shalom, family. Hopefully everyone's doing wonderful tonight. I want to make this video to give some understanding of the moon phases dealing with the solar eclipse, dealing with Matthew chapter 24, when the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light, but to actually help give clarity to the Exodus 3 days of darkness account, Exodus chapter 10. Okay, there's a few people that are making videos saying that there's going to be 3 days of darkness, and we don't see that in the scripture, besides the account with the Egyptian captivity of the children of Israel. Now, let me put this out here first. The Most High can do anything that He wants to do. We're seeing that now with the solar event that's happening April 8th, which is the completion of these 3 celestial events that have been happening in the last few years. So we see the Most High can do anything that He wants, but we want to be right and exact and represent the Most High right by not taking and just projecting things and connecting things that really are really separate. Now again, the Most High can do anything He wants, but we don't see that really in this celestial event that's happening on April 8th. Now if I'm wrong, I stand corrected. But again, the scriptures is not telling us that. The Most High, He takes certain events that may be similar in nature, but they're different. But the children of Israel looked at the principles of these events and how they happen. And hopefully I can explain the principles to make things a little clearer as we go through this discussion, right? Through this lesson. This is not an attack on anybody in particular or any organization. This is just to give clarity so we won't be a stumbling block to those that are trying to learn. Because again, when we put out certain things and people are listening, people are listening and they really and truly, they're easily misled, right? They're easily misled. And that's one of the things that got us in this position that we are in right now, especially dealing with not only the Gentiles, but dealing with my own people. Let's just be real about it. So let me start off by giving all glory and honor to the Creator of the universe, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and to His Son, Yeshua HaMashiach. I'd like to also send out a greeting to the 12 tribes scattered abroad throughout the diaspora, and to the Gentiles that are joined to us in sincerity. To you guys, I say, Shalom. Before I get into this, let me explain what I have back here. And for the people that believe in a flat earth model or the heliocentric model, this is not for that argument or debate. If you are looking to argue and debate that, there's plenty of other channels that's what they do. This is here just to really give some insight on this celestial event and how this play out in the April 8th celestial solar eclipse, also connecting this with the scriptures. So anyway, let me start off by let's go to Genesis 1:14. Genesis 1:14, and it reads, it's a lot, and it reads, and Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven, to divide the day from the night, and to let them be for signs, for seasons, for days, and for years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, and it was so. And Elohim said, and Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and a lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So these celestial bodies, right? We have the sun, the moon, and the earth, and down here we have the sun, the earth, and the moon. Now with a solar eclipse happens somewhere on the earth at least once a year or every 18 months. There's always a solar eclipse on the earth somewhere. The main difference with this celestial event is the timing of it, number one, dealing with the time of Pesach. But what's also unique about this solar eclipse is this particular kind of solar eclipse only happens about every 400 years. And there's a lot of variables that they equate to get that time frame. And it's a lot that goes into it. I mean, it's more than just the path, the location. I mean, it's so many other things, right? But again, there's a solar eclipse somewhere on Earth every year, somewhere about every 18 months. And a solar eclipse happens during the day. A lunar eclipse, on the other hand, again, a lunar eclipse happens somewhere on the Earth, maybe once, on average, once to twice a year, every 18 months or so. And a lunar eclipse happens at night, and it's a full moon. So let that sink in. One happens during the day, and one happens during the night. Okay. So we got that out the way. So let's dealing with the solar eclipse. I'll tell you what, let's just go to some more scriptures. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24. And it's a lot. Matthew chapter 24, verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. So we just really want to deal with the first part of that verse. So, when the moon is between the sun and the earth is when the solar eclipse happened, right? So the moon is blocking out the sun, and yet, you can see around the edges of it, but the moon is not giving its light. Like I said, but in this event, the earth is between the sun and the moon, and you can see the moon, you can see the light, but the sun is on the other side, so you can't see the sun. But the light from the sun and the timing, again, it magnifies the glow of the moon. So let's get to 3 days of darkness. Let's go to Exodus chapter chapter 10. Exodus chapter 10. And we're going to start off at verse 21. Yahweh said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand towards heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand towards heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. Again, this is where they get that from, and then they take Matthew and they apply Matthew 24, in verse 29, and in other verses in the Bible that talks about in the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give a light. They take that and they connect that together. But this event right here, when the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give a light, again, it's hopefully as we go through this, it's going to make sense. But anyways, let's move forward. Verse 22. We're gonna go back to verse 22 again. And Moses stretched forth his hand towards heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose any from their place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. So we're gonna stop right there, because we're gonna run this down. We're gonna run this down because, again, once you understand the principles, the Bible is it's coded, but it's not coded in a way, and that's why, like I said, the Messiah spoke in each parables, because it was catered to a group of people, and the sad thing about people, in religion, that's why people have been so deceived and so confused, because they keep taking and making this book a religion, and it was for a people in a culture. So from a cultural standpoint, they would be able to relate to a lot of the things from a metaphorical standpoint, or from the principles, you know what I'm saying? Because the principles don't change. Even though they may be speaking in metaphors or similitudes, but the principles don't change, because it was something culturally that they would understand, right? So anyway, let's do this. Let's go to Leviticus. Leviticus 23, and let's start off at verse 1. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation, even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. And holy convocation ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all thy dwellings. Now, saying that, that's why I stopped at Exodus chapter 10, verse, I guess that was like 23 or 24, because in all their dwellings. So let me ask you a question. And we just read it. Where did the children of Israel spend their first Passover? We're reading it right now in Leviticus, right? They spent it in Egypt. Next question. Did the children of Israel leave out of Egypt during the day, or did they leave out during the night? They left out during the night, right? So again, and all these things are important once we really get it, because I'm trying to plug in the principles to make it make sense. So the children of Israel had light in all their dwellings, right? Let's do this, because I don't want to get ahead. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I really don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's do this. Let's go to. We're gonna come back to Leviticus. We're gonna come back to Leviticus, and we're gonna have to come back to Exodus. Let's do something like fast. I want to go to Romans. Let's go to the book of Romans, because I have to put this in, try to put this in perspective. Let's go to Romans chapter 15. Romans chapter 15, verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. See, this is why it's very important to go back to the so-called Old Testament and be able to connect those dots. Because once we connect those dots, we will be able to see the clue that the Most High is laying. He's leaving clues. So let's go back to the so-called Old Testament, right? But we're going to go to let's go to Isaiah. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. Book of Isaiah. Give me a second. Give me a second. Isaiah chapter 46 in verse 10. Declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. So declaring the end from the beginning. Let's do this right there. Let's try to connect this and make this make sense. Declaring the end from the beginning, declaring the end from the beginning. What is it saying? Declaring the end from the beginning. Declaring the end from the beginning. The Most High told us that He created, when He was in the creation story, He told us that He gave the sun and the moon and the stars for signs, for seasons, for days, for years. And He divided them. But this event, He's bringing them together. Right? I went over this in one of the last videos. So those that saw the video, you kind of know already. You know this already. But the Most High is taking these two events and He's connecting them together. And this is why this is special. Again, so He said He declared the end from the beginning. So He gave us a sign. But also He told Abraham, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go to Genesis chapter 15, verse 13. And He said unto Abram, who the Most High, know for a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that's not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards they shall come out with great substance. But anyway, we want to really get to verse 13. He said, know for surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that's not theirs. And they shall serve them and afflict them for 400 years. Again, He called the end from the beginning. He declared the end from the beginning. He told Abram that know for surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land for 400 years, and they shall serve and afflict them. He declared that before it happened. And now this event, let's get it. Looking at the sun, the shadow of the moon is cast on the earth in a pathway. And in that pathway, the Most High is writing His signature. He's declaring the end in the beginning because He's the Aleph and Tav. Are you sure that is the Aleph and the Tav, right? He declared the end in the beginning because He's the Aleph and the Tav. Again, when you start looking at this, see, the 3 days of darkness was an event for that time. This event is for this time. This is why they always talked about that day, because that day, you know, of the coming of the Most High, right? Of coming of Yahweh, or the Lord, you know, whatever terminology you use. But there's an event, because the prophecy of a people being in a land that's not theirs, again, people like to attribute that to the Egyptian captivity, but those that study know that's not the case. And we went over several scriptures to break that down in one of the other videos. So I'm going here to really make sure that we don't connect these two events together, even though he used the celestial bodies, right? But there were different events, but the principles were the same. The principles were the same, because he went into covenant with them on that night after when they went into Egypt. When they came out of Egypt, so it's a lot. When they came out of Egypt. You're in spiritual Egypt, but I have to give you a different sign. I'm writing my signature. I'm putting my seal of approval, right? I'm taking counsel, right? Because when you go into covenant, you gather together, you know, with the people that you're going into covenant with, and you have counsel. You talk about what you're going to do. You go over the rules and regulations. You go over said covenant. You go over said covenant. Now, you know, again, there's other things that have to happen, but he's letting our people know, I haven't forgotten my promise. I have not forgotten my covenant. And he's writing it. He's been very specific. He's showing you a location, a place. Again, it doesn't take away all the rest of the diaspora. But in this place, like all the other captivities, when all these different events happened, those places where the children of Israel were the superpower of that time. This place is the superpower of that time. And you notice at the same time when those places were the superpower, in the Most High's redemption process, or bringing the children of Israel back into covenant, those places begin to decline. They begin to fall, right? So we have to know the principles. We have to look at the history. We have to look at the biblical narrative. This is why I say we have to stop looking at these other people, you know, and getting credibility from these other people, because again, they keep getting you to look over here like a certain individual just told y'all, and they're looking here because they know the truth. While you're distracted looking over there, they're looking because they know this. But anyway, I digress. So again, he's writing his signature. I'll tell you what, let's do this. Like I said, we're going to try to run this down. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Chapter 5, verse 1. But of that time, what time is it talking about? The time. Let's get a precept before I finish that. And I know you guys already see that right now, so you already know what it's going at, and I hope it's lining up for you. Let's go to Matthew. Let's go to Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 3. Because we're gonna go back to First Thessalonians, but we're gonna just take a peep at Matthew chapter 24, right, verse 3. And as he sit upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples come unto him privately, saying, Tell us when these things shall be, and what shall be the sign of the coming, and the end of the world. And Yeshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive thee. See, again, a lot of people have been deceived. And we know the rest if you go down, and then it goes, in that day, again, let's jump down. immediately after the tribulation, what tribulation? The 400-year tribulation. Shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, right? And the stars shall fall from heaven. In that day, the sun shall be darkened, right? Not this, but this. Again, it's specific. But let's go back. Let's go back to 1 Thessalonians. And then we're going to try to come back to Matthew, if I can remember, because it's just so much, right? I'm trying to just put everything together. But anyway, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1. But of that time, again, what time? The time of the coming of the Most High, right? Of the Messiah, the return of our salvation. But of that time and season, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. Let that sink in. Ye have no need that I write unto you. Why? Because the Most High is writing to you. There's no need for it. Again, all this I just read to you in Romans, that, you know what I'm saying, that whatsoever things that were written aforetime were written for our learning. So now we go back to the Old Testament, right? The so-called Old Testament, to go get the things that was prophesied, right? So we can be in tune and lined up with the principles and you know, paying attention to the signs and the signs of heaven, right? You know, understanding that this marriage or the high holy days were things that we was doing, you know, to get in rhythm or to be on the same page with the Most High, you know, that we won't be deceived, right? Remember talking about many shall be deceived. Take heed that no man deceive you. They've been deceived because people are looking at Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter and all that stuff like that. But those that are keeping the laws and the commandments, again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Let's finish 1 Thessalonians. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. But of that time and season, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of Yahweh shall come like a thief in the night. We're gonna make this Egyptian thing make sense. Excuse me. Slop. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction come upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day shall overtake thee like a thief. Ye are all children of the light, and not children of children of the day. We are not of the night, nor darkness. Remember, they were in darkness. They were in darkness in Egypt, but the children of Israel had light. We're going to make this make sense. We're going to make this make sense. Where was I? Okay. Therefore, let us not sleep as others do. Let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken at night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate and the faith of love, and for an helmet the hope of salvation. Okay, so again, when they were speaking these parables or these metaphors or similitudes, the principles were always connected to their covenant, connected to the law. Let's make this make sense. Let's go to Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs. Give me a second, family. Proverbs chapter 6. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23. For the commandments is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproof and instructions are the way of life. Let that sink in. This is why they were not in darkness, because, again, they're not children of the darkness, they're children of the light. And the light is the law, the light is the commandments, instructions for their life, for, for the way of life. For the way of life, right? I'll tell you what. Let's go back to Matthew. Let's go back to Matthew. But we're going to go to we're going to come back to Matthew 24. Let's go to Matthew 25. Matthew 25. We want to talk about the parable of the 10 virgins. That way we can, again, use the principles in the parables to look at why this particular time is important. Again, it's not taken away from that event of the 3 days of darkness, but the Most High, he's taking the same celestial bodies, but he's doing a new thing, but he's using the same principles. So anyway, let's go to Matthew chapter 25, verse 1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be like unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took not oil with them, but the wise took oil in their vessels with them, with their lamp. With their lamp. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. Remember, even in 1 Thessalonians, do not sleep, right? Do not sleep. Verse 6. Okay, let's get 5 again. While the bridegroom tarried, they slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, and go ye out to meet him. Again, now we're seeing the principles. I hope you're seeing it now, because the bridegroom called them when he was in Egypt. Came like a thief in the night, right? He came like a thief in the night. And the sad thing about it is, if you have no light, you have no law. If you have no light, how can you be ready for the marriage? So those that slept, they lost their life. In other words, those that did not keep covenant, did not keep law, they lost their life. But those that kept law, because they had the light, they was able to meet the bridegroom, and partake in the marriage. Again, we have to look at, he's shown me the sign. Those that get the principles, you're going to see it. Those that keep the light, they're going to see it. Keep the light where? In your dwelling. This is why I say, even in their first Passover, they was in the captivity. They were in captivity. Their first, in other words, what he did the first time, right? What he did in the beginning, when he did the olive in the beginning, he's going to do the same thing in the end, but he's using the same principles. The tithe. I'm the olive and the tithe. I change it not. I declared the end from the beginning. Again, once you plug in all those principles, once you plug in the signature, everything will begin to line up. Now, if you're looking for 3 days of darkness and it don't happen, guess what? Most of the people are going to go back to sleep because they're missing this sign. Again, I'm not saying that the Most High can do anything he wants, but he's giving you the sign right here. So, again, we read 1 Thessalonians. I have no need to write to you, right? For you know the season. I gave you, again, he gave you the stars, he gave you the sun and the moon and the stars for signs, for seasons, for days, and for years. He gave it to you. Right? He don't have to do that. He did that. He did that before. He did that. Again, he can do it again if you want to now. But he did that. He doing a new thing. But he going to use the same principles. Again, I mean, this is what I see. You may see something different, but this is what I see. Right? Let's do this. 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 Yeah. Let's do this. I mentioned it. I mentioned it. So let's go. Let's go to Revelations. Let's go to Revelations chapter 1, verse 8. Now it says Alpha and Omega, but we're going to plug in Aleph and Tav, right? I am the Aleph and Tav, the beginning and the end, says Adonai, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty, right? Again, he's the beginning and the end. He's the first and the last. He's the Aleph and the Tav. I declared the end from the beginning. He keep on throwing it. He keeps saying it in a different way. The sun shall be darkened, the moon shall be shall not give her light. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's using. I told you in the beginning that I gave you the sun and the sun and the moon and the stars for signs, for seasons, for days, for years. I gave it to you. You know, what's amazing, what's shocking about this is the revelation is, you know, when you go in the wilderness and you're not in the city, guess what? You see a clear view of the sky. You see a clear view of the celestial bodies, especially at night. See, this is why it was important for you to get out of the city, you know what I'm saying, when that time comes. But what these people are doing, for this event, they're going to the city. The Most High told you to come out the city, right? Cry out. Remember, let's go back and read it. Let's go back and read it. Exodus chapter 10. Exodus chapter 10. Exodus chapter 10. And we're going to just jump down to, let's just start off and read. We're going to start where we started before. 21. And Yahweh said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand towards heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand towards heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose anyone from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings, right? Again, all children of Israel had light in their dwellings. They kept the law. Let's jump over to chapter 12, and let's go to 31. Tell you what, let's go to 30. And Pharaoh rose up that night. Remember, I asked what time did the children of Israel leave Egypt? Did they leave during the day or did they leave during the night? They left at night. Because that's when they met the bridegroom. They went to go meet him at night, right? Again, he's going to do the same thing, but he's going to use the same signs, but in a different manner, right? But he's going to have the same principles. So anyway, and Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians. And there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called Moses and Aaron by night and said, raise up and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go, serve Yahweh as ye have said. Again, that's the same thing that he's telling you. He's the same thing that happened in Egypt is going to happen in spiritual Egypt, right? But he's going to use the celestial bodies in a different way for those that's paying attention, but he's going to have the same principles, right? You're going to have the same principles. Because the sad thing about it is, these people have been warned. Just like all those people that talked about this book was myth and all that stuff like that, now they're marveled, right? They're marveled because they're seeing this stuff. They're seeing this. This is why these people are scrambling, and they're getting like the National Guard and certain police departments and troopers and sheriff's offices and stuff like that, because they're marveled, right? They're wondering what's going on. They don't know. And they're paying attention to, while you looking over there, they're looking at you. Because they don't want to get caught like a thief in the night as well. Because like I told y'all in one of the other videos, those that see, they're going to clean. They're going to cleave. We went over there in a few other scriptures, right? They're going to cleave to the house of Israel. Right? They're going to cleave. So they can get a blessing. Those that are righteous. Those that are wicked, they're going to still be wicked. Just like my people, just like all people that refuse to see this, because again, they want to think that, this is, for the longest we've been trying to warn our people about who we are, and they still don't, it don't matter, but all these things are happening. So now it's either, they're going to get out of their arrogance and humble themselves, or they're going to continue, and that day is going to come where they're going to get caught like a thief in the night. See, because Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter and all that don't point to this. But see, the bride, she understands this. She's paying attention. She has oil in her lamp, right? She's keeping those commandments. She's keeping those feast days. See, this is why these people created all this stuff to be a stumbling block, because they didn't really think. See, all this is really taking them by surprise. They read it and they're marveling, like, wow, like, man, this is really getting heavy. Everything is starting to come together. I'll tell you what, let's go back to Matthew. Matthew 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples come unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign, right? The sign of the coming and the end of the world. And Yeshua answered him and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. Because again, these people have been deceived with man-made religion, or it don't matter. Nobody knows the day and all this stuff like that. But those of us, we have been watching. We've been warning. There have been subtle hints. People have been warning. But again, when you say this, we don't know the exact day. We know the season. That's what that's telling you, right? He's not going to come on no Easter, no Thanksgiving. He had to come in his season, for signs, for seasons, for days, for years. Stop listening to these people. But again, when you try to explain that to people, because the pastor then said, but the book, I don't know, I ain't worried about what the pastor said. I'm looking at what the book said. The book been telling us. We've been, I ask even women, I always ask women that say, if you've been married, you married, right? You married, or you engaged, right? You engaged, right? You mean to tell me you don't know your wedding day? Make that make sense. You mean to tell me you're engaged and you have no clue about your wedding day? Make it make sense. Again, you do what you want to do. I'm just going by what the book says. I'm going by what the book says, unless like the scripture says, let the word of the Most High be true, and every man be a liar. I mean, it wouldn't be fair to him to put it in a book and then he changed like people tell. Oh, they'll celebrate all these other days, but they believe in the Most High, but they don't celebrate none of the days that he gave them. Make it make sense. He didn't give you Easter. He didn't give you Thanksgiving. He didn't give you Christmas. But you believe in the book? But you're going to celebrate those days? Get out of here. I mean, it's just foolishness. But anyway, I digress. We're not going to read all the rest of that. I want to jump down to a specific verse. Let's go to verse 15. Okay, because he talked about when shall we know that time, right? So anyway, verse 15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Again, the principles. We know that what was spoken about in Daniel happened. So the Messiah would not be telling you, look at what happened in Daniel, but there's some of the principles. There's somebody that when the Greeks got into the land, they defiled the temple, right? They destroyed everything. They animal sacrifices of unclean beasts and all that. The principles, right? There's somebody standing in a place acting like they're going to be the Most High. They're going to declare themselves. They're going to do sacrifice. We know Yeshua is a sacrifice, right? We know that the Most High dwell not in the temples of made by man. So you have to look at what's going on. They got you looking over there, but instead of looking at the people that's telling you find out all this stuff is happening at the same time. They're about to do an animal sacrifice. They're talking about building a temple. At the same time, all this stuff is getting ready to happen. At the same time, there's a war brewing. Again, okay? Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Keep fighting. Let's jump up. Let's jump up to verse. Let's go back to verse 4. And Yeshua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive thee. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, right? And shall deceive many. There you go right there. Not just in religion, but the people that's claiming to be the people. Somebody gonna claim to be, again, they always say they got the person. From my understanding, again, y'all better open up your eyes. But again, hey, you believe what you want to believe. Believe what you want to believe. But I tell you, it's all lining up. Again, this is not to attack anybody, in their beliefs. This is what I see. You may see something different. If the Most High impress you to correct me in righteousness, show. You know what I'm saying? And stand on your claim. But you can't deny all this. According to the biblical narrative, the children of Israel, we went over this in one of the other videos. The children of Israel was in these places taken captive. So why the people who are claiming to be the people, why they're not here taken captive? We just said there was going to be that he said that he declared the end from the beginning that, and he told Father Abraham that know for surely that thy seed shall be in a land that's not there for 400 years, and they shall afflict them. So serve them and afflict them. What have these people, again, I'm just saying, you find it weird that these people can't even take a DNA test? Again, why? If they're the people. I mean, really and truly, when we look at all this, the people that fit the prophetic nature, so don't even have to take a DNA test because all this point to them. This here point to them. If they're the people, Why is all that not lining up? They should be in the land of their captivity, having a sign that the covenant, right? Now this covenant was established for those that don't believe in the so-called New Testament, this covenant was established way back in the so-called Old Testament. This was established in the beginning. So if they're the people, the Most High said, let me see if I can find it. Let's go to Jeremiah 31. In verse 35. Thus says Yahweh, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and the stars for a light by night, which divided the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If these ordinances depart from before me, says Yahweh, then the seed of Israel shall also cease from being a nation before me forever. And we know that the stars and the sun and the moon is up there. Matter of fact, he is sealing his sign with the sun, the stars, and the moon. Again, showing you that the principles, he's using what he said in the beginning, and he's putting his signature in the celestial bodies, or in the using these ordinances, or using these celestial bodies to show his covenant on a certain place, because a certain people is in that place, and he's telling them, I remember my covenant or my promise to your forefathers. So even here he's using the ordinances to show his covenant. He ain't changed his covenant with the ordinances or with the celestial bodies, and he never changed it with his people. Again, you can't make this up. But again, there's going to be somebody that want to argue and debate because they're in their feelings. But that's a you issue. That's a you issue. That's not a me issue. But again, they've been trying to replace us for the longest. And we're gonna run that down too. Let's go back. Let's get another one. Let's get another precept. Let's go to Psalms 89, verse 34. My covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that is gone out of my lips. Again, these people keep lying on the Most High. Even Paul said that, Shaul said that, the Most High have not cast away his people. But anyway, but again, let's go back. Let's go back here. Let's run this down to make this make sense. Let's go to Revelation chapter. Not Revelation, Salah. Let's go to Romans chapter 9, verse 26. And it shall come to pass that in that place where it was said unto them who? The children of Israel, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living Elohim. Because again, these people call us Negro, black, colored, African American, Afro American. When we call ourselves Israelites, they get mad. But if we call ourselves Baptist, Christian, and all that other stuff, they don't get mad. They don't get upset at all. Not at all. But when we stand on our covenant, when we stand on this, and the Most High is showing that, again, he remembered, because we are remembering, we're coming back, we're beginning to rethink ourselves. So, and again, our people been crying out. Again, there was a cry. And the bridegroom heard, and he met those that had the light was able to meet him where? In the wilderness. Meet him in the wilderness. Again, hopefully you get it, family. For those that get it, all praise the Most High. For those that don't, and you struggle with it, maybe because again, I hadn't broke it down clear enough. Pray on it. But for those for those of you that don't get it, because again, you just mad because it's it's a certain people that's claiming it, and that's a you issue. And the Most High is going to deal with that spirit. He's going to deal with you. And you're about to see it real soon. But anyway, with that being said, family, as usual, peace, love, shalom.